Okay, welcome back. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Repulsive TV episode 5. We are here with the whole crew. We got Tom, we got Danny, we got Tony, we got Jason, we got Abby, we got Dax, and I'm Ralph. I am the bass player / singer for Order the Fly and for End. All these guys here are in the Order of the Fly. Dax is with me now in End. You guys have both, actually everybody here has also been in End, which would be, once we finish the whole, like...
Welcome to the band, Tony.
Everyone here currently has been in End.
Yeah,
everyone in here.
Tony probably, he's an honorary member. And, when we finish the whole secret history of the Order of the Fly, I want to do a history of End, and just because, talk about people coming and going in a frickin' band, and if you think... The Order of the Fly is an accident-prone band. The End is the most impossible to pull off. If you've seen a live show and it was good, just count yourself as being so lucky. You are the luckiest person because it's like winning the lottery. If you get to go to an End show and everything fucking goes smoothly and you're like, wow, that was good. If you walked away thinking it was good, you have no idea the amount of effort that is required and the amount of just pure luck for everything not crapping out. That is the most accident-prone band of all time. But
you let me play drums.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
I played drums.
I have.
Wait,
Yeah.
everyone, Dax, have you played drums?
You played drums with me in San Diego.
I, in fact, have.
Have you?
No.
Okay,
'cause I
so
cannot play drums.
4 of End's former drummers are currently here. How many?
The
of you
current
play
drummer is the
keyboards?
only one not here. And John, who's the only one that's been able to figure out how to do it, is not here. But who also currently plays in Cadaver Pudding, or did.
Yep. Who?
That's like Hero to Zero 2.0.
No.
Oh, sad. Everybody's getting
That
sad
was 20 years too late.
Cry. I'm leaving. Right here.
So, welcome back. We're gonna continue talking because now we're like on a roll and we're having a good time. So where did we leave off? We were talking about. Oh, okay. So we're gonna get into. Now we're gonna start shit talking other bands. Kinda. Not really. Not in a negative way, but just in a like. Kind of way.
I have a feeling when we're done with this, there's so many people are gonna hate us because there's people I want to talk bad
There
about.
are.
Without meaning to talk bad about them, but there's just so much crap I've seen people do towards other members of bands and stuff that I know I'm gonna say something wrong. So, and I already know who it is that I'm gonna hate on. But
okay, no, that's okay. The hate, it comes from like a positive place. But also there is one thing I just thought of
Kid Joe.
when we were talking about Jason's tenure in the band in the last thing. We kind of got off the rails and we didn't really go with the history. So. Like a little. She's like dropping like hair metal references. Oh, speaking of hair metal, I picked up the latest. This is not the latest. I picked up a Lita Ford, I think her first album, the other day for like $5 at Rhino Records. I've decided my next thing that I want to collect vinyl wise. So just to discuss vinyl, we're gonna bring more records next time, but I want to start collecting hair metal stuff, but slightly more obscure, not the biggie, huge bands, but.
Collection of hair metal and stuff.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
Like my
All right.
only real musical influences.
Hair metal, but also you were also influenced by like Korn and Limp Bizkit. I mean,
That was like
Metal.
yeah. If we could get Aaron on, if we could get Aaron, aka the Hessian, on to just talk about how irritated I would get when you guys would start playing break stuff by Limp Bizkit every practice, I would just be like, stop! I would get so angry.
You get so mad.
Uh huh.
It was great.
I get so mad that I just have to like start trying to learn it too with that stupid 2-note rip. Is that is Limp Bizkit, right?
Did you see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna have to watch this. Although so this is Tony was kind enough to I was talking about my Plasmatics infatuation, and this is a bootleg of all of her stuff. However, I have to say, not to be complete prude, I'm not going to watch anything that has any of the porno-y stuff with her because she did do some pornos.
It's exactly where it starts. Like
Okay,
the first
so I'll
thing in
skip
it,
through
you
that.
don't want to see it.
Because I feel like
you want to watch
it's
it
this.
alone.
I
You
don't want to
anyone
disparage
watching
the
it.
sort of memory I have of
You know
her.
you want to watch it.
No, I'm not.
watch it.
I'm not
You
into
know
that
you
kind of
want-
thing.
don't do that.
I'm not. That's not.
Don't do
That's
that
not
to
me,
yourself.
man.
You got the whole DVD there to watch anyway.
See, I love Don
I'm not.
Knotts, but I don't want to see his early work. You know what I mean? Just fast forward past the first 10 minutes of the Don Knotts biography.
All the
to get
outtakes
past
from
all-
all the outtakes from like from Three's Company when he was a swinger. Drac.
Don't do that again. Do not do that again.
No, I do what I want, man.
Yeah,
I'll try to curb it though. I'll try to
that's
curb it.
terrible.
Ralph Furley, the first television person that had the name Ralph, so I immediately was drawn to his character.
Immediately was drawn to
back
him.
back to what we set out for.
Okay, so
Getting you
this is
back
gonna
on
be
track.
we're gonna spill the tea.
Oh,
right?
I like that. That's what the kids are saying.
That's what the kids say today.
Yeah,
Not my kids.
it's all tea.
They
Well, your
spell
kids are still
everything
learning how to
but tea.
walk and talk, so
Yeah, that's-
They can't even spell
they spill
tea.
pee. Your kids spill the pee.
No, they spill
Um,
the orange juice, the soda, the milk, the yogurt.
The urines.
Yogurt.
No, actually, I'm lucky this year with that portion.
That's
of
good.
Things. Can we get on to the
Okay, so let's get on to this. So the first one we'll talk about is the one you just mentioned. Okay, a couple episodes ago we discussed how AFI was a massive influence on me, and I was obsessed. Like I drew this like drawing of Davey Havoc that I gave to my friend Shauna to give to him because she would go to like all their signings and stuff. I was like I was obsessed with him. I
He
thought
came
he
to
was
one of
a
our shows.
genius. Well, that's what we're about to talk about. So
Oh boy.
we were playing at a place called the Martini Lounge in Hollywood.
Yes.
That was an awesome venue.
I loved it.
That was so cool. And
Wait,
It was a
No.
little shallow though. Like
was-
it was,
yeah.
there was
It
a
was
ton of
shallow.
room in
Well,
there.
I had a
but-
couple of rooms.
Well, yeah, it was huge, but between the stage and the back wall was like
Never
and it had a
mind.
rooftop.
15 or
Yeah.
20 feet,
Yeah, it
but
was
it was like the
tiny.
We
biggest
saw-
venue with the worst.
We played with
stage
Bobby
location.
Steele's Undead
Yeah.
there.
Yes,
We
we did.
didn't play with Mike Graves, but it was the day after we played with Mike Graves. I think it was when he was going as Graves, so it was the first iteration right after he
And
quit
we
the
went into
Misfits.
Roadside
So it was him.
America,
Oh, that's another good one to talk about. Wait,
Texas?
hold on. So Graves. Okay, there's two bands that we'll bring up that the Martini Lounge centers around. Okay, so first we'll talk about AFI. So AFI had been recording "Sing the Sorrow" down the road from there, and Davey Havoc, and it was the night that we played with the Undead. So Davey Havoc had come to see the Undead. Davey Havoc and Tim Armstrong came. And we were like starstruck,
Yeah.
dude. I was standing next to Davey Havoc, who I'm a tall gentleman, and Davey was so diminutive next to me. I just wanted to hug
He's
him.
my height.
I wanted to squeeze him. He's a very tiny little dude, but he's got some guns. He had big arms at the time. I was impressed. I just wanted
a
to
fishnet shirt.
I wanted to feel his bicep.
Right.
No, he didn't have a fishnet. He had a short sleeve shirt. His tats were in full effect. A very handsome gent. But so we had finished our set. He was there. We got off, and it was before the Undead was playing and stuff. So I gave Davey a copy of our first 7-inch that we produced, which was called the Dying Season EP. Okay, it had this like pumpkin scarecrow looking dude on the cover. It was our first
No,
vinyl
okay.
pressing ever. Huh?
Just saying the tracks.
Yeah, the tracks. Okay, so the name of the songs were Autumnal, October Ascendant, and then we did 2 covers on the backside. We did a cover of Head Like a Hole by Nine Inch Nails that Dax sang, and then we did a cover of I Turned Into a Martian that Jason sang. And then that was my first foray into any sort of electronica ever, was that segue little piece between the 2 songs. That was my first attempt at trying to get into that was N's very, very small seed beginning, because I was still trying to figure out how to do any kind of electronic industrial type stuff. So anywho, we give him this record, and I fawned over him. I basically told him how he was my hero. I wish him nothing but the best success ever. They had just signed to a major, so it was like a huge deal. They had signed to DreamWorks Records. I knew that their record coming out was going to be amazing. However, it came out. Okay, so I just wanted to.
Here we go.
Yeah, so let's just mention. We gave him an EP.
similarities.
We gave him an EP that was called "The Death of Seasons" or "The Dying Season" EP. Song number, let's see, song 3 on side B1 is called "Death of Seasons." Now, come on,
I agree.
right? Am I being arrogant?
Well,
No?
that's like Dr.
What do you think?
Chud.
Oh, don't even
That
That
is
comes
my. I
start
want.
with that
To,
guy.
I have
Give
to
me-
tell
I
that
need
story
that.
when it comes to it.
I need that.
I use that still in
Don't- hey-
teaching because
hey, dude,
I have
seriously?
to teach right now
What?
about.
Don't even
Wait,
start
first
with
let's
whole
stick with the
Dr.
AFI
Shep
thing.
Fuck him.
Am I being
Fuck
totally
yeah.
arrogant? Am I being nuts? Or do you think that maybe that even if he didn't intentionally do it, like I said, I intentionally ripped them off big time on this like latest song of ours.
Well, maybe they were slapping back.
Not big time. Well, no, this song hasn't come out yet.
Slapping forward.
Yeah, they.
This is
Well,
for what
it's
you're
the-
gonna do to us
it's the-
10 years from now.
It's the temporal vortex. Maybe they're retroactively slapping back.
And speaking of temporal vortex, we used to play with Sloth.
Yes.
Sloth was the first band ever signed to DreamWorks Records.
Oh my goodness. Another Tool sounding band.
Yeah.
People like Tool back in the early
Hey,
2000s.
people
That's
love
crazy.
Tool right now.
It was like my
Fuck
Tool
yeah.
is in my top 3.
Easily.
Not even easily. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I've come around on
No
Tool. I used to
effort at
detest
all.
Tool. I used to think it was the most boring music
Yes,
ever,
you
but now
did.
I do like it.
All right.
Schism.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Dope as
Especially the song Bottom with Henry Rollins doing a spoken word part, which I love Henry Rollins. Got my black flag tattoo. It's very hard to see.
Hey, I did that. Way.
Yeah, this tattoo was also done by, all my tattoos were done by friends. I don't have any pro tattoos. I was thinking about this. This tattoo,
Shark.
oh, okay, so the fly, speaking of my buddy George, this fly tattoo, our first logo, this was done by our friend George with a
hooked needle.
frickin' homemade
I didn't
gun.
want to talk about the tats he did on me, bro.
We did this, okay, we did this at the band house.
I have none.
And I was pouring blood. Like this thing was like, it looked like a
everywhere.
war. It looked like a car accident happened. And I had, the only other tattoo I had was this really fruity ankle tat I have. Oh yeah, I had a baby raven. Yeah, that's right. That was covered up by a bigger raven. That was also done by a friend, who I worked with named Manny. Oh, and actually my buddy Ruben.
None. 0. I'm the only member of the Order of the Fly.
She's an untouched
Has
canvas.
no-
I think all of
But
us
so-
have tattooed each other at one point.
But yeah, so George tattooed this thing with like a homemade gun that I was like, I had a couple beers, so I know that like that thins your blood, and I figured maybe that's why I was bleeding so profusely. But we looked at the needle after we were done, and the thing was like a fish hook. It had a barb in the end. It was bent.
Dude,
It was like
turned
that.
you to
first-
hamburger, bro.
It was-
Out of your,
And
like,
then
barb.
it was like a 3D tattoo. It was half scarification,
Terrible,
half
bro.
tattoo. It was swole up to the point where it was like
the
you could
worst
see.
shit
Oh man, it was so gross.
ever.
And then Danny did my black flag bars when he started tattooing. And then this raven on my arm here was done by a guy I worked with named Manny, who worked at the restaurant I was bartending at. And yeah, so I have like no real tattoos. All mine are like jailhouse tats
Hey,
done by
I got
buddies.
a tat that Danny did the first one of these. The first time this was
Mm-hmm.
on my arm, he did it. It's been done like 4 times since then. Bro. I like the pain.
So let's so that's my possible AFI possibly may have been influenced by us. The second one that is 100% straight ripoff. Okay, so this CD, when we also played at the Martini Lounge, we played with Graves. I am a huge Graves fan. I absolutely love Mike Graves. I think he's a freaking genius.
Sorry.
Actually, I found something interesting out. So for the longest time, I was operating under the assumption that Mike Graves hated my guts. So therefore, I kind of was a little butthurt because we know a lot of people that he also knows. So there's been a lot of he said, she said stuff. Everybody thinks that
I've
he
told
hates me.
everyone how much I hate him because I love you.
Oh, well, and so, okay,
Not to
the
take
people
it back.
that I know that know Mike Graves that are like, I'm not going to dime the people out, but there are people that have played with him like in his bands, said that he doesn't like me. And I thought it was because I wear skull makeup, he wears skull makeup, which I'm sorry, I'm bald. I went bald first, Mike Graves. And when you're bald, you got to do a skull. That's it. That's all. That's your only option, right? That's all you get. That's all you get to do.
There's now three
Three
of us.
skulls in this band.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
Big,
You're all going to start doing it. So I thought that Mike Graves didn't like us, but at the time, like, I mean, I loved him. I think he is a brilliant singer. I love Famous Monsters is one of my all-time favorite albums of all time. His voice is amazing. I love him.
I agree.
But, so the Misfits broke up. One of the best shows I had ever seen was on the Famous Monsters tour. We saw him at the observatory, the Orange County, or it was back then. It was called the Galaxy.
remember that.
It was just absolutely amazing. But oh wait,
I
hold
saw
on.
that one.
I think you may have been
I saw
there.
it at the Glass House,
Uh-huh.
and Guar opened for them.
I want that. I saw there's a
Guar
poster.
opened for them.
Picture of us at that show.
But he. Anyways, that's like an untouchably great era of music. To see them live, that 2000 era Misfits was absolutely the high bar of this kind of music. They did cool stage theatrics. They kind of got into wrestling, so then like Mike Graves would get body slammed by Frankenstein halfway through the set, which the first time I saw him, he played along with. The second time you could tell he was like definitely over it and was like pissed off about the whole thing and was like his elbow was bleeding and he was like, you could tell it was not the first like wound he had like taken and he was pretty much done with it. You could tell there was something up with the vibe. And the next time after that show was like pretty soon when they, you know, basically he and Doyle like walked off stage or something. But so when the band split, when that version of the Misfits split, Mike Graves and Chud did a side band called Graves, and it was who's the guitar player? Tom Logan. Yeah. Okay, so it was Tom Logan. Graham something was the bass player, who was a super cool guy. Left hand Graham
from Blackpool.
Yeah, and the songs are great. The song Casket is still probably one of my favorite songs he's ever done, which I have on vinyl on a Misfits bootleg of outtakes from the Famous Monsters era, but for some reason Casket's on there too. That song is excellent. And anywho, so we had the opportunity to play with them at a place called the Showcase. And then the next night they were playing at the Martini Lounge, so we didn't play that show, but we went down to see them, and I was putting out a zine at the time, and I wanted to interview them. So we did, and they were kind and cool, and we sat on their RV and we interviewed both Chud, the drummer, and Mike Graves, and I gave them this CD. Now, I am going to edit in a song here. I'm going to edit in the intro to the song that we did called Succubus to this album that came out in 2001, okay? Then I will also play a song that was done by Dr. Chud on his first album, and you be the judge. I won't make any sort of value judgments, but Jason, take it away.
Okay, now if you've just listened to those, you'll see why we're going, When I first found out that we were playing with Chud, I hadn't heard any of this music. None of us really had. And I was at work, and I put on his song Powerless, and I went and I looked down. I was like, what the heck? And I literally opened to see if the Order of the Fly CD was in there, and it wasn't. So we went on right before him at the Showcase.
And they were nice guys.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Chud is a cool guy. The
no
guitar
problem
player
with that.
guy was awesome.
However,
They 100% ripped us off.
when you 100% steal from that local band that you're like, man, no one knows who they are, and then you come back
They'll
and play
never
it-
find out.
Yeah, and play at the only place where they open for you, where they're very popular. at
Where we
that
had
point.
more fans there than they did.
Yeah. And then I was like, I almost feel like you shut me down.
I may have, just out of
because-
pure politeness.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, this next song
I was being
is a song
diplomatic.
called Succubus. You may have heard it now when it's called Powerless, and you're like, hey, just hey. But hey, this kid, and I'm just like, no, it's just like,
Yeah.
this guy talks too much. And so he
You used to be
started-
the impetuous one.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now I sort of became a little more impetuous.
Yeah, now I just
Now
kinda
you're
sit
the
back and
mature
go,
guy.
I just sit back and make faces at Tom.
So you be the judge. Okay, wait. Here's officially where I'm going to play it right now. And we're back. What do you think, folks?
Well, I will say this, though. The best part about it was after we had played it, 90% of the people there knew who we were and they'd heard the song because the album had been out for quite a while. The intro was that riff that may or may not have been borrowed, played over and over. Remember they brought him in on a stretcher?
Yes.
And
And that
my
was their
wife and
song
I-
that they opened the set with.
Yeah, and
that
my
was like
wife
their
and I were
single
standing
off that
on
record.
to the
This
side.
couch over right now, you guys. Stop it.
Well, Jen and I were standing like in that alleyway where you load out.
Yep.
And I'm back there yelling "Succubus," and you can hear like this side of the crowd. I wish
Singing
there was
with
a video, like singing along, and I'm just orchestrating like the 5 people that gave a crap.
I think was
Like,
that the one. I think that
yay.
one Cole Cole was like the one where Cole came on stage when he was about like a foot tall.
No,
like
because
a foot tall.
no,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he
was,
was
okay,
in
that
the
was
band.
later. That was when Johnny End was in the band.
I was in the crowd that night.
Oh, yeah.
And Cole was handed to me.
Yeah.
To take
Oh,
him
yeah,
off
that's
of
right.
Stage. Yeah.
Hey,
Before we stole you
Hey,
away.
Cole,
Yeah.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
want this to run for?
Yeah.
What are we at?
20 minutes.
Dang it.
Word.
Okay, let's just. Dang it. Okay, we got to keep going. This is too good. It's too good.
Where are you ending this?
Is this
Where-
still?
where
Is that
are we
still going? Can you guys see if that's still recording? Okay, cool.
Turn left into what? Where
Right?
are you fucking
That
going?
way. That way.
Sorry.
We're good? Still recording? Okay, if we're at 20 minutes, can you guys hang close and just tell me as soon as it turns off, one of you guys?
You're literally at 20 minutes and 10 seconds.
Perfect. All right. 2 minutes is up.
This is-
2 minutes and holding.
All right, go.
Okay, go. All right, we're back. So,
Hey, you want
Strange
a
Brew,
back
man.
I
Strange
know.
Brew's
You want a
becoming our.
back bacon sandwich?
You know what I actually just bought on vinyl for $5, $4.99 at Rhino Records? The Great White North album.
Hey,
With
great
Geddy
Lee.
Lee.
North End.
Yep.
I still have it.
I have 2
on
copies
vinyl.
now.
Yeah.
The first one I have is all scratched up, but this new one is pristine. Mwah, perfect. So so we got to do one more rip. Now, there's another famous band that many people know.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone through various iterations of their lead singer. The first version when it came out was pretty amazing, but when I saw it on the cover of Revolver magazine or something, I was like, what? Okay, now I think I can't, lay claim to being, obviously, I'm one of many people that do skull makeup. But I do a very specific,
Many.
I did a very specific design, okay? And I changed it. Now I don't do the little doggy nose because I've got a big schnoz and it looks ridiculous. But back when we first did it, I would do a blacked out nose and stuff, and I had a very specific, this like is evolved into this, but it didn't look like this in the beginning. So I'm going to put a picture up right now. I'm going to edit in a picture of moi. And then there was a band called Ghost when Papa Emeritus Numero Uno was. Now tell me, okay, look at these two. I'm going to split screen the two. It is 100%. That is my makeup. That's me. He freaking ripped it up. And it's another case of, here's a little Small Potatoes band nobody knows about, but we can easily take from, and no one will ever know. But we know, I know. There's no chance you absolutely did the exact. Maybe there is. Okay, I will put odds on a 30%, 30 to 20% chance that he just completely came up with it. Yes.
More or less.
Yes. You be the judge, folks. Once again, viewers can judge. What else we got? I did the Kim Fowley.
There was someone that I was gonna talk bad about, but I don't think I'm going to now.
No, let's do it, man.
There's
Let's
just
do it.
certain bands that we've toured with, and I don't like the mistreatment of hired guns, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know exactly
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about?
You talking about a guy named Troy?
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
You're
Let's
done.
say,
You're done right now.
Let's say you bring in a guy who comes in as a favor to just hook it up. I'm just going to come in and play for you. And your first practice, you just turn to him and crush him. And then you expect this guy to go tour
You can
with
say
you.
it. Come
Do you
on.
remember all the fights that they tried to start?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We actually did get him. What was your buddy that was at that place in
I'm trying to think. I think it was Mike
Long
Love-
Beach?
I don't know if it was Mike Lovejoy.
He
whoever
threw
it
a
was.
cup at him, and it was like
And it was a guy
It was
that would have
the-
destroyed him. I
Yeah.
want to say it was Mike Lovejoy, and he's
we. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just gonna dime it out. I like him, so this is no
I
value
do
judgment on
too.
you. But there's something that I have a very low tolerance. All of us have a very low tolerance for, and that's the rock star attitude. If you act like a star or you think you're the shit, that is so beyond irritating. Do not do that. That is my only instruction to you other bands out there. Don't act like a rock star. Even if you are a rock star and you act like a rock star, you're a total douche. So so we went on a little. We
Mike or
tried.
Little Graves, and someone got pissed off.
Maybe.
And Mike Graves didn't show up for the first day of filming the Scream video. And
Oh.
So that's
Yeah.
not him laying down
That's right.
in there.
That's right.
And I'll have to ask
It's
Glenn.
Glenn Hittrick,
I'll have
right?
to- well,
No, Glenn
Glenn's
Hittrick is in it.
But I'll have to ask Glenn if it was him, because it may have been Jason that was
If anybody has ever seen the show Face Off, he's one of the main guys on Face Off.
Yeah, it just got
He's a
canceled.
friend of ours, Glenn Hettrick, and he has a very recognizable lament box
Yeah.
from Hellraiser on his shoulder, and it's in the Scream video by the Misfits. But he was like a
He
mis-
did all of the
Yeah.
did the makeup for it.
Yeah, he did that cool zombie makeup. That was the best Doyle ever looked. Doyle needs to play with that because that looked amazing. That is so cool. It's not like he sings, so can you imagine Doyle just pacing back and forth in that makeup?
With his
Perfect.
size.
My wife wants him to clean our pool without his shirt on.
Well, I want him to
I
clean
don't
my.
even have
I don't have a
a
pool.
pool.
I'll get a
I don't know
kiddie
what it
pool.
is
That's-
about- and what's funny is oddly enough at Glenn's
The
wedding.
fact that he's like in his 50s with like a 6-pack.
Well, at
is-
Glenn's wedding, Tank, remember Tank?
Yeah.
Jim the Tank Dorsey
Yep.
was there, and guess what? He runs a pool cleaning service.
Well, how about that?
And I was like, why don't we get Lord Humongous and Doyle to clean our pool? Like not that I'm saying that they're only good enough for that, but I'll pay a lot of money to watch.
They can make some extra.
You want to
Yeah,
see
so-
the gay come out? I will
sell
be
tickets.
like
If Doyle-
this. I'll be at the window.
If
just
Doyle
like,
ever does see
"Hello."
this, you could clearly you could clean up, you know, a little side gig, little side thing, side business. Go ahead and clean pool. Yeah. You'd have so many, you could sit there and blow bubbles, you know? You could wear your little t-shirt sleeve on your head.
Hey,
Or is that Jerry? Jerry does that.
No.
I have a shirt that Jerry gave me.
Wait,
I have
wait,
Jerry.
I
Jerry.
gotta
Oh
say
man, this is
that
awesome.
story.
This isn't
No,
talking
I'm
shit.
not gonna say
Oh wait, no,
it.
please do.
Parking lot
Please
story?
no.
I want to tell.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what? Oh, this sounds good.
the parking lot story.
At the
Yeah,
Key Club.
at the Key Club.
Jerry.
What?
was-
I've never seen someone wear Misfits sweatpants, Misfits
Oh,
sweatshirt,
yeah.
Misfits sandals.
Hey,
With
I.
the sleeve over his
No,
head
no.
and then
And then-
pee all
and then
over the
pee
parking
all
lot.
over
Wait,
the
I
parking
didn't see
lot.
that. What happened? Who did that?
Jerry.
Jerry peed the parking lot of the Key Club.
The best part is he comes
You heard
up
it
to
first.
us.
You heard it here first, kids.
He comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, you guys want passes for the show for backstage?" And we're like, "We're in the band."
Oh, you want to know another?
Cool.
Okay.
And then he goes around the tour, the
little shack. Of
Oh,
a
I got
tour
another
band
great
and then
story.
all of a sudden, well, hold on.
Okay,
He
okay.
goes around and all of a sudden you just hear.
Are we still recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He goes around and we're standing there, and then you just hear, and it's like, is he peeing? And we look under, and he's just there
That's good.
peeing, right in the.
Hey,
not even
you know
in the
what?
corner, just-
I just imagine it being thick golden ropes of like a horse.
It was not.
Jerry only. It was not. It was not dribbly. It was like a fire hose.
It had a good amount of force.
Dusty.
but-
It was a very
lot of
Jersey. It was
psi.
very
Lot of
Jersey.
psi in those pipes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. Well, okay, so one of the best things ever, great Jerry only story was we went to see him when I was doing my. Okay, it's blinking. I don't know what that means.
It's probably the battery.
But no, the battery's got. Oh, dang it! Oh, such a good story. So I was doing a zine. I wanted to interview Jerry only, and I interviewed him for my little zine. My friend Ellis and I. Is it still recording? Please God, let this record. So we went to see them. They were playing at the Galaxy again. This was right after Jerry only decided to become the singer. Marky Ramone was playing drums. I got to go backstage. I wanted to interview him. He was super gracious. But the best thing was before we interviewed him, we were waiting by the RV, and he had some like roadie guy come up and bring him spray on bald spot hair thing, and I'm a bald as bald gets, and I was just like, yes. He freaking sprayed his bald spot with black spray paint. It was the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. Then he was ready to interview. He needed to get that. He didn't want any, just in case, he didn't want that.
You gotta do.
That was awesome. Okay, we got to wrap it up. So that's it for this episode. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it made any sense at all. Nope. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks again. Bye.
Gotta tell the T-shirt story when he threw the shirt at you.
Oh man, is it still going?
No.
No, it's done.
No, battery's dead.
It's done.
I like the T-shirt.
No, it's not done.
story.
Okay, come back. Okay, last thing. Battery's about to die, but so here's my last quick story. Jerry only, we played with him at somewhere, where was it? Oh, the Whiskey, and it was behind the Whiskey. He had his RV there, and I had just played with him, and it was a Key Club. You're right. So the RV was parked back there. After we played with him, it was amazing. They were great. We went backstage. He was the most gracious, cool dude, nice guy, and he let me go on his RV, and he takes off his shirt, and it was like freaking Mean Joe Green. Threw me
On
his
the Pepsi commercial,
yes.
the Coke commercial.
He's like, here you go, kid. He threw me his shirt that he wore for the show, and I was both disgusted. It was
And proud.
because I get sweaty. I am a very sweaty guy, and it was as sweaty as I ever get. And this thing just like slapped me in the chest, and it was like throwing like a water sponge. Just went, and it was all Jerry only sweat all over me. I still have the shirt. But it was
And
just
there's
like
water balls.
it was like he took a sponge and just threw it at somebody, and it just hit me, and he was like, there you go, kid. And I'm like, well, I'm old, but thank you. And it was super nice guy, so no knock on you, Jerry. You're my hero. You're my numero uno favorite bass player. But man, that was the grossest like t-shirt of all time. And I was like both like, on one hand I was like, yes, and on the other I was like, ugh. It was like hazmat, like Get it out of my hands. It was just dripping. Okay, so thanks again. Last story of the evening. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Bye-bye.